Hi everyone, welcome to Corporate Review. I'm your host, Ara Tapuzian, the Economic Development Director for the City of Novi. Well, we've got a little bit of a different show today, and we're outside, and the weather is certainly not agreeing with us, but we're gonna move forward with this. And I'm with Prasad, and we're at your home here in Novi, and you own a company called Srinergy, right?
Yes.
I said it right.
Yes.
And we're here for a specific reason, and we'll get into that, but tell me about the company.
I started the company 3 years ago.
Yep.
And started with my home as a solar system, to showcase as an example to the rest of the community. So,
Right.
So that's how the journey has begun. And I've done the project in two phases, which is phase one is up on the roof,
Right.
and then the phase two is the deck where we are sitting here.
Right.
So that's where it all started. And
Yeah.
after that, we have done projects in multiple communities in Michigan. So that's been the journey.
Tell me about your background. How did you get into solar panels? Why did you get into solar panels?
I mean, I'm an engineer, by education, and I've also done masters in computer science. I've worked in the IT space for so many years. And I said I want to transition into something where I believe in, and I want to contribute something back to the community in my
Right.
own way. So that's the beginning. In terms of looking at energy sector, and within the energy, of all the solar, wind, geothermal technologies, something solar is very easy to deploy, easy to put it out in the homes and businesses, and
Right.
the technology is easy to deploy, and the costs are coming down. So I said,
Yeah.
that'll be something to look into from a long term as a career, and something I want to give it back to the community. So that's how I named the company also as Srinergy, which is socially responsible, individual concept.
Right.
So that's what it was.
So out of all of the alternative energy options,
Right.
where does solar and solar paneling fit in that scheme?
Right. I mean, if you look at the industry as a renewable energy industry,
Yeah.
we all started with solar 30 years ago. It's out there in the West Coast, in Nevadas and California. It all started. And then after that, we have a total silence in the technology for
Right.
a while.
Right.
And then comes this recent wave of, again, the renewables getting a lot of attention because of the climate issues and the environmental issues that we are facing. So there's a good traction back in the in the industry, and then it all started as a wind is where it kind of started off.
Right.
And then we have windmills in Michigan. We have big, large-scale windmills across the nation. And then the solar kind of tagged along in the process.
Sure.
And then it has picked up, and it's slowly taking over the rest of the technologies.
Right.
So that's the trend that we are seeing because of its easy deployment.
Yeah. Well, it's a confirmed science too. I mean, it has been from the beginning.
Right.
And like you said, it probably took a little bit of a back seat when we started talking about windmills and the thought of putting windmills in people's backyard, and it
Right.
sort of fizzled a little bit. Certainly, there's certain areas from it, but the technology has really been proven from the beginning
Oh, definitely.
and still
Definitely.
constant.
Definitely. I mean, within the solar industry or within the solar space, the efficiency of converting the solar energy into an electricity is getting better and better. Like it's our
Right.
own laptops or smartphones, right? So the
Right.
technology is evolving and it's getting better and better. So if we have to put a solar system up on a roof, somebody got $100 bill, we might need around 400 square foot of space.
Right.
Now it's getting better, so we don't need that much footprint. It's getting into a nano space where it's shrinking with the higher efficiencies. So you don't need that much space, you don't need that
Sure.
much time. So if it takes a system for my home the way I have done it, it took almost 2 to 3 days to put a system like this.
Yeah.
Now, when the technology is getting better, the panel size is shrinking, the size is coming down. So all it needs is a day to do it. So the
Right.
overall cost is coming down. So instead
Okay.
of having a 3-day, labor,
Right.
now it's coming down to one
To
day.
one
So
day.
it's like a 1/3 the cost of labor is coming down.
Okay.
And then the technology itself, the panel, like the way I said, any technology, the prices are coming down.
Sure.
3 years from when I started, the same system, if I put it now at home, it will be 40 to 50% cheaper
Sure.
than what it is 3 years ago.
Right.
So that's where we are right now.
Okay.
So
So let's talk about your home. You were your own guinea pig.
Yes.
And we're out on your deck for certainly a reason, and above us, you've got certainly an awning here with all of these
Yes.
solar panels. Talk a little bit about that. Why,
Right.
why did you use your house as?
Exactly, yeah. So I want to like showcase to the rest of the community. I want to kind of be the change, and if I want to promote that, I want to showcase that as my home and it works.
Right.
And in a day like this, where it's gloomy and
Yep.
people think that will really work in Michigan or not, right? So this is a prime example. The system is still generating energy right
Yeah.
now. And I mean, I'm powering the system, and if I have extra electricity here, I'm going to feed it to the DTE
Right.
as a grid. So I just want to show it as an example, because if I go and tell my friends or businesses or homeowners, and so there is the level of comfort by myself believing in it,
Right.
by doing it, and then can bring people over to say, okay, here is my home, look at it, and that's it. So that's the level of comfort I want to give, and I believe in it. So if I believe in it, I want to do it, and then I want to show it. That's what it is.
Well, and you're sort of demystifying sort of the I'm sure your neighbors at one point said, Michigan weather,
Right.
not so great. Prasad's crazy.
I know.
Why would he put solar panels? But it's still working and it's still operating. We were, in your basement too, and I want to talk about that in a minute, but it's working. Maybe give a little bit about the basics of how a solar panel works, and then tell me more about the connection between solar energy and putting juice back into the grid
Sure,
to
yeah.
DTE.
Right. If I want to simplify what a solar system means, you have three main components in it.
Right.
One is the panel itself,
Right.
which is like a 5.5 by 3.5 size, let's say 20 square foot space,
Okay.
and has a 40-pound weight, and that's what a solar panel
Sure.
is. And then to generate the energy that you need for the home, you need more than one. So you have, let's say in my case, I have 44 panels. So we string them all together. So we
Right.
connect them together. That's a one component.
Right.
And then when the sun rays hits the panel, now you're getting the DC powers, and then
Yep.
the DC is converted into the second major component, which is an inverter, which converts the DC to AC, power, which
right.
is what we need at home.
Right.
And the third main component is we need all this wiring and the panel to hook up to the roof or run the line to your control
Sure.
panel in your basement. So those are the three main
Right.
components if you kind of want to simplify the solar system.
Right.
So in a day like most of us, I mean, we go to work or we do our business and no one is at home, and systems like a sunny day or a gloomy day, it's still generating power. And now no one is using power at home, so we feed the juice or energy to
Right.
DTE.
Right.
And when we come home in the evening or when kids come home, so you kind of take the juice back. So
Right.
what we have is called a net metering. What it means is if we buy and sell the energy to the grid at the same kind of cost and sale price, same. So when we
Okay.
get the juice from DTE, we pay a certain cost, and we feed the juice back, there's a certain cost.
Right.
And so that they're both are equal. So that's what is called a net metering, which is a kind of industry standard across
Okay.
the nation,
Right.
So that's how the system kind of operates.
So residents and businesses, let's say they wanted to do something like this. The obvious questions I think they're going in people's mind is, well, what's this going to cost to do?
Sure.
And what's my savings? What's my return on this? And how long until that the return?
Right.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So I mean, like the way I said, the costs are coming down, right? So
Right.
in like 3 years ago, if a system is $10,000, it's like today, $5,000. So
Right.
and the payback 3 years ago was like 15 plus years or even close
Okay.
to 20 years, depending on how complex the system it takes
Sure.
to design and install, right? Now it's coming down to less than 10 years now. So we have reached a point now, the system's payback, that's another term that industry uses, the payback. When
Right.
you invest money
Right.
and want to see the returns back is less than 10 years. So it's
Okay.
getting better.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the cost of even 10,000 coming down to 5,000, somebody writing a check of 5,000 is
Sure.
it's a low priority in the list of things
Right.
that we have, right? So that's where we creatively coming up with a financing mechanism where you can pay it off through a loan programs, 7 to 10 year financing with a
Right.
zero down financing option. So that's something we are
And that's unique to your business. I don't, from what you've told me offline, there's
Right,
not
right.
many of those companies that are doing that.
Yeah, at least from a competition standpoint, we have been very creative and proactive when it comes to the solar, right? So
Right.
there's an element of we give that community approach to it, we give that sustainability practice approach to it, and the environmental contribution approach to it, and then myself being what I've done
Right.
itself is a showcase and an example to kind of give the level of comfort.
Okay.
And financing is definitely, considering the economy,
Yeah.
what we've been through.
It's an advantage
It's definitely
to
an
offer
advantage,
that.
yeah. And there are credit unions. In fact, we are working very closely with a credit union where we're going to be financing this with a very low interest rates, like
Sure.
less than 5%. So overall, I think and you pay from your savings. It's not
Yeah.
like you're adding an additional. If let's say you have a $100 bill.
Right.
It's not like you would have a $125 bank loan
Right.
or a credit union payment or something like that. So
Right.
you kind of be less than or equal to that 100, and after you make all the payments, then it's you paid it off and it's
Right.
all yours. And another important thing here is the life of the system is more than 25 years.
Okay.
And of course, there is another component which is an inverter, we call it, that has a 10 years, but you can just replace it with $1,000 after
Sure.
10 years. But the overall system life is around 25 years, and the manufacturer of the solar panel, as an industry standard, they all give 25-year product warranty. That's a very important thing.
Okay.
So if anything goes wrong, you call them and they will kind of take care of the shipping the panel.
There's not much to these panels, though, really, per se. I mean, it probably looks
Yeah.
complicated,
Right.
but there's really not much
No.
to them.
Right. Actually, that's a great question. When you look at this the solar system, there's not much of a moving parts like a windmill.
Right, right.
So there's no wear and tear.
Right.
There's not much maintenance. So when you look at those factors, I mean, it's like any other electrical wiring in your home.
Yeah.
Once you've done your wiring, I mean, unless
It's gonna stay,
it's gonna
unless something happens,
Exactly,
yeah.
something happens, right? So that's the beauty of
Yeah.
solar. I mean, that's why in the renewable energy space, it's easy to deploy, easy to install, easy
Right.
to maintain. So those are the
Right.
factors that.
Talk about your basement. We walked and looked around your basement, and obviously in typical basements, you've got your, your box on your
Yes.
electrical panel on the wall, and then you've got two other.
Right.
Talk a little bit about how that's sort of set up in your house.
Right. Like I said, there's three main components, right? So you have the panels,
Right.
which are stringed together,
Right.
and that DC power is brought down to the box, which what you've seen is nothing but an inverter, which
Right.
converts the DC to AC.
Right.
So today's we have a technology where you can keep it in the basement,
Yep.
or you can even keep it outside.
Oh, okay.
In the weather like this, so
Sure.
the technology is there today. You can even
Right.
put it outside. So
And it's
all-
not huge. It doesn't
not-
get in the way. I mean, it looks like another,
Right.
panel.
Yeah, there's not much of a noise. The sound decibels are very, kind of, it's not like annoying in the basement and things. So
Sure.
you don't even hear, when
Right.
it's kind of operating. So, but you have options in technology. You can keep it in the basement or outside. So there's an option. We have installed systems where the inverter is in fact out in the house too, because basement is so tight, you just don't have space to put that small box. And it's like
Right.
it weighs around 20 to 30 pounds. I mean,
Okay.
It's just something very easy to install. So that's an inverter, which is the main thing.
So when I saw that, the natural question I asked you earlier, and I'll ask you again, is so if, God forbid, we had another blackout or just regular power outage, and I think most people think Prasad's home is going to be the safe house.
Right.
We're all going to go gather there. That's not the case, but address that if you
Right,
would.
Definitely. Actually, that's another great question, right? There is this misconception or this misnomer about the solar. If I have it, then I don't need any local utility like
Right,
whoever.
right.
It's not there, right?
Island of his own.
Exactly. So it's not in a concept by design. It's not that way.
Right.
The reason is because we are connecting this solar system to the grid, existing grid.
Yeah.
So when the grid goes down, like a power shutdown,
Right.
we also shut down for safety reasons. So
Sure.
The grid's not prepared from that standpoint to kind of take the reverse use, because you might have crew up
Right.
working there. You don't want to kind of have the safety issue there. So we kind of shut down when the grid goes down. But the technology is kind of coming along to a point where I can have an energy storage,
Right.
like a battery bank
Battery
or
bank, yep.
something, like instead of having a diesel generator or a gas or a generator like that, I can set up a battery bank where I can charge it, and then I kind of, when the shutdown happens, I kind of reuse that juice that is there in the battery bank. Like, it's like any other technology, right? So it's just in the initial stages. The cost is like, you don't see a payback for the next 20 years. Because
Right.
how many times you're going to have a shutdown of power, and how many times you're going to kind of use that juice, right?
Right.
So that's what. But actually, it reminds me of a project we have done in Puerto Rico, where you have a loss of power, which is kind of happens because of the hurricane and all those natural. So we have done a project with the battery bank,
Sure.
and because of the issues there, and
Yeah.
they have a high loss of power, and they have a small business and all that. So we have done a battery bank, so it works
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
So technology
It's
is
there.
sort of there.
It's
It's just cost prohibitive.
It's
But
just-
one day we're going to get
Oh,
to that
definitely. I
point.
would say yes. I mean, we all,
Yeah.
like, even in our own, homes, we have a small basic UPS systems for
Yeah.
computers, right? So
Right.
it's there.
Right.
But it's not there for a
It's not
scale
expanded.
like a home.
Yeah.
So,
So do you get invited to like the Christmas party for DTE Energy? I mean, they must love you.
Oh,
There's got to be some sort of additional tax credits to that as well, no?
yeah, there are tax credit. I mean, like, since the industry is all new, right? So there's definitely a lot of tax credits, which is the federal government gives a 30%, So if a system is $10,000,
Right.
you want to get a 30% off that when you file the taxes.
Okay.
So you got to have that $3,000 benefit there.
Right.
From a homeowners,
Right.
And on the top of it, like local utilities like consumers and DTE are also giving a rebates on the system. So if someone
Right.
is installing, there is a percentage of the cost,
Right.
that they are contributing towards that. So there's a lot of programs out there, and they come and they go because of the way how it's been kind of strategized by the utility companies. But the goal for us as a Srinergy at a point in time is we are not looking for any rebates from anyone or a federal incentives, because that's the goal that we have.
Okay.
We want to come to a point where it's like, if I'm buying a laptop or if I'm buying something, I'm not looking for somebody to give me a 30% off or some kind of a rebate, other
Right.
than just a sale coupon of $100 off.
Right.
But so that's the journey we are in.
Okay.
And we are constantly working with our partners,
Sure.
so that we are not dependent on any kind of incentives. And the way the technology is going, and we're going to get there. We don't need anybody's
Absolutely.
incentives at a point.
You
in
could
time.
see the end of
Yeah,
the. I
it
mean,
is.
there's
It's-
definitely a
it's coming.
future, and
it's
yeah,
coming. Yeah, we don't need any incentives because
Right.
it's going to pay back. I mean, the
yeah,
numbers are looking better.
it's great.
It's great. It's a great news for. I mean, so we need
Yeah,
the moment that you have more and more homes going solar. I mean, like any other,
Sure.
volume, kind of approach. The product price is going to come down. Manufacturing costs are going to come down.
It's all gonna just get easier.
It's going to get easier. I mean, it's like your smartphone, right?
right.
It's like $99. You can do things with it.
Yeah, whereas it used to
I
be
bought a
millions of
laptop
dollars.
for 3,000-4,000, like 15 years ago.
Right.
Exactly. So that's
Right.
the reality of the technology.
Yeah.
So.
Prasad, we've run out of time, but you've really, believe it or not, you've
Okay.
filled an entire show. You were worried about it, but we got everything.
Okay.
Tell folks where they can go online to learn more about what your company does.
Great. Thanks, Sarah, for your time. Before I go
My
to the
pleasure.
website, it's a pleasure, and I am really thankful to your crew and coming on a day like this to my home and
It's Michigan.
giving me personally an opportunity and the company to kind of create this awareness in the community, because I just
Our
want
pleasure.
to showcase that the solar works in Michigan.
Right.
So and I'm very
Wow.
thankful to you and the
You're very
rest of the
welcome.
crew. And for the website, you can go to www.srinergy.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Prasad, thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
very much.
Appreciate it.
This was
Thanks a lot.
fantastic.
Yes.
It's about all we have time for here for Corporate Review. I'm your host, Ara Tapuzian from the city of Novi. If you want some more information on the economic development efforts that we're doing here for the city, I invite you to go visit investnovi.org. I'll see you soon. Bye.